a big point of what I try to make is you may have a difficult situation, but if you take that situation with a smile instead of dumping on everybody because the world's falling, it makes a big difference in the end. It makes a big difference in what type of leader you are. And that's why I put some of the difficult tasks in there, was to help you along in smiling while you're trying to do difficult things. And even I caught myself, because of course I went and redid all these tasks when I was writing this book. And I caught myself being grumpy and mean to myself and mean to people around me while I was doing these tasks, forgetting the lesson I was supposed to be teaching everybody else.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. I am your host, Michael Palmer, and today's show is going to be a great one. Our guest spent 31 years scratching and climbing his way up the corporate ladder to the position of country manager and senior operations manager for a global multinational. Along the way, he learned some valuable lessons about managing people and would incorporate some of that insight into his quirky book, Manage This, an interactive guide to management and other absurdities. Tobyn Pearson, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
It's great. Now, Tobyn, first off, before we get too far down this conversation, tell us a little bit about this multinational career that has led you to this point in your life.
Well, I started out at the bottom. I'm very proud to say I started cleaning toilets. And then I ended up as country manager, senior operations manager. My travels took me to India, Mexico, lived in Trinidad and Tobago for 3 years. Of course, the US and Canada, and a few points here and there and in between. So I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of people and learn a lot of things from these people. And that kind of led me to this book.
Now, this is really our connection begins at this book. I received a package from a very good friend, Patricia, and it was this box. I opened it up, and there was a juggling kit and your book, and a note saying, this person has a very good message, and you need to have him on the podcast. So what inspired this book with the juggling and this really quirky angle around management?
Yeah, well, it started out as a memoir because I was on the road so much. So I had to fill my nights with something to do. So I started taking notes and writing. And I thought, you know what, I could write a nice memoir, management book on how to be the world's best manager. But then I read a few articles about management books and how they were generally ego trips for the author. And I started rereading mine, and lo and behold, they were right. The book was all about me and how great I was, and there's that's not what this is supposed to be about. Management books, for me anyways, are supposed to be about the reader and to take the reader on some kind of journey, and it's not just supposed to be about the person writing the book. So I tore down the drawing board and started again, and I ended up with this bit of a mess that I'm very proud of. It's truly is interactive. That's why the name's in the title is it requires the reader to take part in this book. And it's meant to be fun. It's meant to be, it's meant to make you think about what type of manager you want to be. I mean, that's truly what at the end of the day is. I'm asking you when you go through this book is to ask yourself those questions. What type of manager do I really want to be? How do I want my employees to see me? How do I want my suppliers to see me? How do I want my customers to see me? And that's what it's all about, really. I tried to make it as little about me as possible.
I just absolutely love that. I mean, first off, I think it's very refreshing point of view to stop and go, okay, what is this book all about? And it takes, I think, a person that understands yourself, obviously, to be able to take a deep look and say, this is more about my ego than it is about serving other people. But I also love the overlay of really that concept when it comes to leading people is that really the greatest leaders that I've ever experienced have been, not to say that they don't have an ego, they're driven, but they have always made it more about me and where I was going and how I was a part of their leadership. And that's what always inspired me and created loyalty and, the desire to want to work with those people. And I just love that your book has sort of brought, from an absurd kind of way, has landed there in an overarching message, which is refreshing.
Well, that was the original. I mean, that wasn't the original intent, but when I sat down with an editor and tried to figure out what my message was going to be, I wanted that message to be, well, I don't want to tell anybody a message. I wanted the message to be, I want the person reading this to decide for themselves based on some of the stories, because the stories in this book are not always, I wasn't always correct in what I did. And I tried to make that abundantly clear that the decisions I made may not work for you. Sometimes they worked for me, sometimes they didn't. But it's for you as the reader to judge for yourself. All I do is give you a conduit in which to think about that. And that's what all the tasks are for. That's what the juggling balls are for, which is a hobby of mine, juggling. So I'm basically asking the reader to do a lot of these funky little things in this book, but not to become a better manager, but just to give them a way to think about how they look at people, how they work with people, how they deal with people on a daily basis. And there may be a better way or not. Mm. I don't pretend to have the answers, and that's the problem I have with some books is they tend to come with some kind of formula. Like, you do these 7 steps and you'll be a better manager. Do these. No, it's not the way the world works, for me anyways.
For sure. And for many people, I'm sure it's why I think it's intriguing. In fact, just this last weekend, I found this old book. It was called Dale Carnegie's Scrapbook, I think it was called. A really old book written by his wife, and basically took Dale Carnegie's favorite quotes and some different things that he had never reached his book. But I just opened it up curious because I was a fan of Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. But the one page that I opened this past weekend was there could be the biggest problems happening in the world. I mean, terrible problems happening in the world, but the person that you're sitting in front of cares more about the boil on their face or the toothache in their mouth than they do about the rest of the world. The most important person on the planet to most people is themselves. And so if you're leading from that perspective and letting that part of our human condition be the lead, it's not going to go very well. I mean, people, and that's unfortunately what's rampant in our world, and the type of leadership that does climb to the top often is coming from that ego-driven state. Now, our listener are small business owners. These are people that both work with a lot of leaders and they have to have some leadership themselves. And I think they're going to find your work really refreshing because there's a little bit of, just in this quick conversation with you so far, it's kind of like relax. The more you're just a human being, the better leader you're going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, I'm not a big proponent of change leadership, like trying to mold somebody into somebody they're not. I've seen many courses, and I've been on many courses with other managers, and they try to teach empathy, and they try to teach you how to do this or how to do that. We are who we are. I don't think we necessarily need to change who we are. We may need to change on how we react with other people, but we don't necessarily have to change who we are. And I think that's important to be yourself. And you can still be a good leader, but have a different kind of personality than somebody else and still be a good leader. Absolutely. You don't have to mold yourself to any one specific thing. But at the end of the bottom line is you do have to care about the people that you serve. And that's probably the most important message that there is in all of this, is truly caring about the people you serve. And if you do that, regardless of your personality, I think that will show through and make a big difference up and down the line.
Yes. And I can tell you that our listener right now listening is one of those people that actually do really care about who they serve. And I mean, it's a type of work that they're often going into, as you know, going into messy situations, difficult situations embroiled around money and the lack of, or people wanting that money and not being there, all sorts of real big problems. So it's a service oriented business. And so what have you found in terms of the people who have read your book? What have been some of the experiences that you've seen those people go through having read it?
I've been getting a lot mixed reactions, and all good, because the intent was, in the introduction, I do say that I hope you enjoy some of these tasks that I've made you do, but I also hope some of them piss you off. And that was kind of the intent of these tasks. Is I've put things in there that were supposed to be fun. I put some in that were supposed to be to make you mad, and to make things difficult for you, just to get a reaction out of you, to see how you handle that reaction. And a lot of the people that I'm following through emails, that are sending me emails back and forth as they go through the tasks, are letting me know, oh, I really hated that one, you son of a gun.
Yeah, nice.
I really didn't enjoy that one at all. And some people will, the exact same task, they'll say, oh, I really enjoyed doing that one. So you get two different opinions on the same task, which just shows you it's all in how you view the task, which is a big point of what I try to make. Is you may have a difficult situation, but if you take that situation with a smile instead of dumping on everybody because the world's falling, it makes a big difference in the end. It makes a big difference in what type of leader you are. And that's why I put some of the difficult tasks in there, was to help you along in smiling while you're trying to do difficult things. And even I caught myself, because of course I went and redid all these tasks when I was writing this book. And I caught myself being grumpy and mean to myself and mean to people around me while I was doing these tasks, forgetting the lesson I was supposed to be teaching everybody else.
So interesting. You're going through your own process and immersing yourself in it. How do you, your experience as a manager, as a leader, you've likely seen lots of young leaders come up to be leaders as well. Almost this, all of a sudden you're in a leadership position. And I know that there's many listeners right now that are sitting there going, well, I'm not a leader. And hopefully out of this conversation, we'll realize that actually you are a leader in your business and for your clients. Whether you're showing up as a leader, that's another question. But what mistakes do you see many make?
The biggest mistake is not having enough courage in themselves and their own abilities. I mean, we all, you kind of hit it when you're talking about new leaders, but I think everybody's a leader. Like, no matter where you are in the organization, whether you're the janitor or the CEO, you are a leader in some way, shape, or form. You're serving somebody. No matter where you are in any organization, you're serving. As a manager, you're serving your employees, you're serving your customers, you're serving your peers, you're serving your boss. You're always serving somebody. And it's important to remember that you're never, and I always tell the young guys, you're no more important than anybody else in this organization. You're just part of the organization. And once your employees and customers and everybody around you see that you honestly feel that way, that everybody is an equal peer, it makes dealing with difficult situations a lot easier, because you're standing at the same level as everybody. You're not talking down to people. You're not barking orders to people. Everybody's working together as one unit to solve the issues. But you can't do that when you're leading as a sort of a dictator type, a leader. But for the young up and coming managers, is listen to your people and treat them as equals. There's no other way around it.
I think I like that stream of thought, and I think if we think of our listener and where they're at with being technicians, they're technical people. They understand things very, very deeply, and their customer, the people they serve, often don't understand to the level. So there's this gap of knowledge and likely the curse of knowledge. And when you know a lot more than somebody else, it could, in a relationship, it could start to feel like you're telling me what to do, or your lack of patience, or any of those things. What tips would you give to our listener for them to actually be able to be on that same level? I mean, I think you've kind of addressed it a little bit, but from what I've just told you, what are your thoughts?
Well, I touch on it a little bit in the book in a couple of sections about different cultures, different people, is to getting to know your people, regardless of who they are in the organization. Even if they don't work for you, they could be a supplier, but getting to know them, giving them the time of day. Like when somebody comes through and empties out your garbage, that's a moment in time that you can take advantage. just to say thank you or to say you appreciate it. And people around you see that. And when the people around you see how you treat everybody in the organization the same way, it boosts your morale and obviously boosts productivity. I mean, this book isn't about how to boost productivity and morale. It's just trying to tell you how to treat people. And just everything around you improves just naturally, just by having positive interactions with everybody that you meet on a daily basis. And that's what this is about, is questioning. One of the tasks has a final question, and it is over the interactions I had today with people, is there anything that I could have improved upon? Whether it's with your child, your wife, your boss, a customer, you have to continually question yourself on that interaction that I had with the janitor today. Could I have done something different to let them know that, I appreciated what they did? And after a while of questioning that, it becomes habit. You just treat people with respect, no matter who they are.
That's, for me, it reminds me of my own experience, rather late, I guess, just recent experience, rather, is that, we live in such a fast-paced world, transactional world. I'm at the grocery store and I'm buying stuff and I'm in the middle of basically checking boxes off, right, in life. And yet there's all these human beings around me that I'm paying no attention to. And I think to stop and maybe slow down a bit is what I'm getting from this conversation, is to slow down, not just at work or in our businesses or in our family, but slow down everywhere and see what shows up. Like, there's a lot of human beings there, and just be more of a human being, right? It's like, oh, hi. They often say hi, and I'm like, yep, whatever. It's like, it's not that I'm meaning to be mean or that I don't care, but what I'm putting out to the world is that I don't care. Their experience of me is that I don't care. I'm just a robot passing through here.
Oh yeah, it became an obsession for me. It's in some of my locations. Like earlier in my career, I wasn't very empathetic to people. It was just like my goal was to meet the demands of the corporation. I mean, ultimately that's what you're told to do, so that's what I did. But I found it was a lot more enjoyable to later on in my career if you had actually relationships with the people that you were working with. Whereas, and I actually made it a goal, because some of your customers or employees may not want to have that relationship, and that's absolutely understandable. But it became an obsession for me, and it still is in some ways, is when I'd have a customer or an employee who was a tough cookie, a tough nut to crack, that really was just an ornery and mean and really wanted nothing to do with me or the organization. I focused on them. I mean, I literally worked on those relationships. I'd go out of my way to see my grumpiest employee every day. I'd go out of my way to see my grumpiest customer every day. And it's not always easy to do, but eventually the walls will break down, and you just got to keep working at it. I think it's important. And I think it's important. And eventually they see, hey, this guy genuinely does care. It changes the whole relationship. And eventually, I'm not saying it's going to improve bottom lines or anything, but it certainly it's not going to hurt, and it makes life a lot easier when you're able to deal with all the difficult people and difficult situations around you on a more human basis.
I think so. I think it's speaking to a habit, right? A muscle to train. In that, just like my experience, I'm this robot going through my tasks. By focusing on one thing, which is, slow down a little bit and interact with the human beings in my life, it's training a new muscle in me to actually have this happen more often. And I think what you said is that, does this does this have a return on an investment? And I think it absolutely does. I think that the short term is no, it doesn't likely have a return on investment, but the long term, and even not that long term, is that it's probably an incredible return on investment, not just from money in the bank or growth of customers or all these things that we measure really easily, but from human capital, like our lives, our satisfaction, our ability to be productive, our ability to be creative, our ability to ward off disease or chronic illnesses. Those all have an incredible hidden cost. And I know we're talking a very macro really, but we're not, right? Every single listener right here is a person that may experience stress, fatigue. If they're in their business and they're being a robot, like I've been at times doing the checklist, if I can move away from that and be more of a human being, it's going to have a long-term effect on my ability to please my customers, long-term effect on my ability to please my family, please myself. There's a lot of really big benefits that we could start to calculate out of your perspective here on life.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And the one thing that's missing out of that is it comes back to you as well. Once you're seen as the caring leader, guess what? People start caring about you as well. They may see you having a down day now, and you'll have people coming to you that maybe wouldn't have in the past, saying, "Hey, I noticed you're a little bit off today. Anything I can do to help you?" It comes back to you just as much as you're trying to give back. It's coming back to you as well. It just creates a much more of a team environment, and yeah, it's amazing what we can do when we start caring about each other. I mean, it sounds awful, touchy-feely and everything, but at the end of the day, it is that simple.
I think it really is, and I think it's just that's why I'm loving this conversation, is that it's such a powerful one, and I think a benefit for all of our listeners. It's just hitting, I think, the nail right on the head, in that it's for the most part, we all, when we're young, like I have a 3-year-old son, he's extremely caring, right? And he's busy at doing his thing. And he's, if you interrupt him playing or doing his bulldozer or whatever, it's like, get out of my way. I got to do my thing here. But he's extremely caring and likely will be for a long time until he's put into the, hey, we got to get stuff done in life conversation, which I think happens, right? It's like, hey, we got to get this done. We got to make profits. Just like in your business, in your career, it was like, oh, we got to grow the business. Yeah. Forget about the people, just get it done. If we stop and go, wait a second, what is this all about? Be a better human being for ourselves. I mean, the return, I think, is there. I think it gives permission just to go back to the roots of what really matters, is that you're a human being. We are all human beings. And if we act more like it and embrace the beauty of our humanity, right, life's going to go better. We're going to be able to serve our customers better, and we'll have a better experience. In fact,
absolutely. I was just actually did some public speaking for the local Rotary Club here in Campbell River, and I was talking about goals, and it kind of combines right beautifully into this. Is like you can have a goal in your job, you have to increase production by so much, or get so many new clients by such and such a date, and have a goal, and then you achieve the goal. Well, here's how I looked at it. Like, just using one goal as an example, when I moved to Campbell River, I set a goal to myself to learn how to juggle five balls. I mean, in the book, I got a picture of me juggling 5, but it was just basically me throwing 5 balls in the air. It wasn't actually juggling them. So I made it a goal to juggle 5. So what I did, I actually formed a juggling club here, and I met some fellow jugglers, and they helped me along. And now a year and a half on, I can juggle 5. But what's more important? I set a goal and I achieved it. But what much more important is now I have 15 to 20 new friends in my life that I didn't have before I started that goal, before I set that goal. So achieving the goal was nice, but what's much more important was the process of achieving it with all these new friends that I found in the juggling club that helped me achieve that goal. And it's the same in business. It takes people to achieve your goals. You need to stop and smell the roses and enjoy your interactions with these people while you're trying to achieve your goals. And this is just something recent that I've actually come across, which none of this is in my book, but it's just something new I've kind of realized. It's the journey along the path to achieving any of your goals in business that is just as important as achieving the goal itself. And if you look at it from that perspective and enjoy the ride from setting the goal to achieving the goal and all the people you meet in between that help you achieve that goal, it's very liberating. It's incredibly liberating because you look at the people different. You look at the people, hey, these people are helping me achieve my goal. When you look at it from that perspective, it changes everything.
I love it. It sounds like you got another book.
Yeah, I'm writing one, but not on business.
Well, you got another 2 books then.
Yeah, I got a couple in the pipeline.
You know, I love what you said, and I'm glad you brought that up. It's our listener, as you know, are bookkeepers, and these wonderful people are at work every single day helping small businesses survive, make more money, in fact, thrive. And what I believe is that small business is really the place where real positive change can happen in the world. I mean, we live in a chaotic world, right? You turn on the news, it's just a laundry list of awful things happening in the world. And it's why I don't actually read news anymore. I'm on my 14-month news diet. I don't consume. I just get news from the people around me tell me what's going on in the world. It's news that really matters that much, I guess you could say. But the point is that for me, my goal is to make a positive difference in the world. You know, I have to make a living. I have to do the things that we do, run my business, all of that good stuff. But what's cool is that I get to help bookkeepers. You are helping bookkeepers right now strengthen up so that they can help small businesses double. And those small businesses feed families. Those small businesses feed kids. The more that people are thriving in their businesses, it's more micro philosophy than that leads to a major impact on a macro level, a global level, really. So, that's why I love this conversation, is that really at the core of what we need to do is really we need to care about people, and that's it, right? If we can do that, and I think it starts with caring about ourselves first, right? That's why I think your book is probably a fantastic journey into caring more about and being just aware and being thoughtful about where you're at and who you are and how you want to show up in the world. That leads to this grander mission of helping small businesses. And so, I'm glad that you brought that up. It really is exciting to have that come out into our listenership.
Yeah, well, I have a book. I have my bookkeepers that look after me, and I can tell you that my life would be not as nice as it is without them. But in saying that, I let them know that. When I have my meetings with them, I usually show them a new magic trick, or I do some new juggling tricks for them. I know what's going on in their life, and they know what's going on in my life. Even though I'm paying them for a service, it doesn't mean that there isn't a relationship there. And it's very important, and it has to come back too. And they also do the same for me. I actually look forward to my experiences. I'm not sure many people might say that, but I look forward to my times with my personal bookkeeper, as I do with a lot of my suppliers. And you can't look at when you have a meeting or you have something, you can't look at it as, I gotta go meet with my bookkeeper, or I gotta go meet with my accountant, I gotta go meet with my lawyer. You need to somehow make it a positive thing. Oh, going to see Joe today. Can't wait to go see Joe, my bookkeeper. See what he's up to today. It's all about framing everything in a positive light, and not making it a negative experience for no reason.
That is our intent, really, with this podcast, is to remind every single listener that what they do is awesome, and that, yes, they're going out to people like you to help you. So what are they doing? If they can help you make your business stronger, help you grow your business, your message gets out to so many other businesses. It's a ripple effect, right? So it's what I think it's often we forget that what we're doing actually matters. It's easy for us to look. Right now, as I mentioned, my 3-year-old son, right, sees firemen, police. It's like, oh, they're the heroes. And yes, they are. They are the heroes. They are the people that are keeping us safe, and all of that is wonderful. But at the same time, there are people in our lives that are doing some, and it's maybe not that dramatic, right? But it's really makes a massive difference, and people aren't paying attention to it.
Well, I used to always, as a senior manager, I mostly dealt with suppliers a lot. My employees and my suppliers. I didn't deal with a lot of people above me. I'd always had 1 or 2 customers here or there, but it's generally suppliers and employees that I deal with. But in my business, everybody was focusing on the customer. But yet 99% of people that I had dealings with on a day-to-day basis was either employees or suppliers. So, but most of the managers that I know spend 90% of their time focusing on their 1% of their people, and it should be the other way around. The customer is going to be a lot happier if my whole business is running well, is a well-oiled machine. He's going to reap the benefits of that much more than if I'm just focusing on him and not caring about everybody else. So it's the same with as a bookkeeper. You're a supplier. You're a supplier to many small businesses or large businesses, I guess, as well. You need to work on that relationship with them. As a leader, you need to be working with your bookkeeper, but the bookkeeper also needs to take the initiative to learn who their customers are. It's a two-way street. And you can do that by research. I used to do that with my customers. I used to research them. I mean, not the company itself, but the people that I would ask other people, hey, what does this guy like to do in his spare time? And somewhere there's always a common thread between you and your customer, or you and your supplier. And you find that common thread and you work on it, and that's how you build relationships. Yeah,
it's no different in any relationship. Is figuring out why you're in that relationship. Really, it's like you meet somebody like your jugglers that you hung out with, right? It was like at first it was to achieve your goal, but then you discovered something completely new, which was you like these people and you like what they're up to, and you like probably lots of things about these people, and they enrich your life. You couldn't have got there unless you did the research and invested in that relationship. It is an investment. So to go and research about your customer, this is for the listener, to research your customer will take time. You will have to slow down. It will cost you something because you're investing that time in something other than producing the outcome of your business. But that return is an enriched relationship. You'll find your why you love working with them. And maybe you'll find a why that you don't want them as a client, and you want to find other clients that you want to serve. We have a lot of listeners that work with nonprofits and with churches, and they love doing it because they really are connected to their customers' bigger why. And so I think it's such a lovely message today is to slow down, to start with looking in the mirror and looking back at yourself and going, yeah, you're a human being and love yourself, but then start looking in the eyes of your customer and getting to know them and discover new things about them. Make this investment. I think only great things will come for you, your business, for your customers' businesses, and for the communities that we all live in all over the world.
So you just wrote a book right there. I'm expecting you to publish that one soon.
We're going to have to hold each other accountable to that, I think.
You have incredible insight, and that's the way, you're absolutely in everything you said. We could be on the other side of the fence right now.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Tom. This has been a terrific conversation, and I have a feeling there's a podcaster out there. His name is Tim Ferriss, and he wrote the book, The 4-Hour Workweek, which people love the title, and he sold lots of these books. But the point is, his podcasts are 2 hours long, and I feel like we could have a Tim Ferriss podcast, but I think I'd upset my listenership because they like to have them around 30 minutes. But I feel like this conversation could go on for a lot longer, and I'd love to have you back to share more insights in your journeys of discovering how you're making a bigger impact on the world, not just in corporations, but now all over the world, in small and big businesses.
No, I appreciate that. And it's been wonderful talking with you, and absolutely it'd be fun to get together another time, and maybe we could go through a task together and get your listeners involved.
Absolutely. Well, let's not wait till then. Let's give them a place where they can go and find out more about what you're doing, and get this book and start it going through the exercises. We're not going to just tell you to be more caring. Let's give you the access, the tools to go do it.
Yeah, and I'm very upfront with that in the book. I mean, I can't teach you anything about morals or anything like that. That's a personal decision on how we treat people, and I'm very open with that in this book. All I'm doing is telling you. I'm not telling you anything. I'm telling you stories about how I've had interactions with people, what I did, and how it turned out, good or bad. and giving you a way of looking at your own interactions with people, similar interactions with people, and if possibly you handled them well or not, and how you could possibly improve in the future. But it's all about the reader. Is at the end of the day, you got to decide on what kind of leader you want to be.
I love it. One of my mentors told me early on, he said, don't chase money, chase experiences. And your book sounds like it creates the opportunity to have experiences, and those are the most valuable things in life. So where can they find out more about you and your book?
Well, the book's available on Amazon in Canada and US and Europe and everywhere else for that matter. And I have a website, www.tobynpearson.com, which is just starting that website. It's not fully completed yet. Right now, it's just a magic website, but it's going to be my public speaking and more of manage this type things on it. So you can follow that to see as changes slowly come.
Beautiful. Well, we're gonna have the links as well to those. We'll have a link to your book as well. And I encourage every listener to buy this book and start taking yourself through these experiences. It sounds like both it'll provide interesting new things for your business, but I think also for your life.
Yeah, that's mainly what it is. It's just really, this book just gives you a conduit in which to think about how we work together with other people is really what it boils down to.
Beautiful. Well, Tobyn, thank you so much for giving us your time today to be on the show.
Oh, I appreciate your time, and good luck to all your listeners on your journeys. I hope they're all fruitful. And good luck.
Thank you.
Take care.
That wraps another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. And what an incredible podcast episode it has been. To learn more about today's guest and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.